Well, shalom, shalom. I'm Barbara, and I'm always short and sweet. Why do pagan religions offer incense to the Queen of Heaven? The priests of pagan religions believed that the incense was a spiritual offering, and it would keep the demons away by the smell, and it would be beneficial to the gods, and they would like it and protect them and give them prosperity. And the pagans offered sacrifices to gain benefits from the gods. Offering incense was forbidden by the Lord in the Old Testament because it was not only a way to offer pagan gods worship, but was a way to invite them into one's life. And this is from a Catholic source, and I'll leave all these links below. So incense was offered as a part of the religious ceremonies in the pagan religions surrounding the Israelites. In fact, most of the references in the Bible to incense are the Old Testament prophets, lamenting the fact that too often Yah's people have forsaken him and chosen to make sacrifices, including the offering of incense to false gods. And here is a verse, Jeremiah 44, 2-3. Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, you have seen all the evil that I have brought upon Jerusalem and upon all the cities of Judah. And behold, this day they are a desolation, and no man dwelleth there, because of their wickedness which they have committed to provoke me to anger, in that they went to burn incense and to serve other gods, whom they knew not, and neither they or their fathers. So the use of incense is optional for most masses, and it's used to purify the coffin at funerals and to bless statues and images. And that's from the Catholic source. And this is a Bible source. Exodus 24 says, thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in the heaven above or the earth beneath. And that is the second commandment in the King James Bible. So Jeremiah 44:16 says, as for the word that you have spoken to us, this is the people saying this to Yah. They're saying, as for the word you've spoken to us in the name of Yahweh, they're telling Jeremiah, we will not listen to you. In Jeremiah 14:17, but we will certainly do whatever has gone out of our own mouth to burn incense to the Queen of Heaven and to pour out drink offerings to her, as we have done, we and our fathers, our kings and our princes in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem, for then we had plenty of food and were well off and saw no trouble. But since we stopped burning incense to the Queen of Heaven and pouring out drink offerings to her, we have lacked everything and have been consumed by the sword and by the famine. And the women also said, and when we burned incense to the Queen of Heaven and poured out drink offerings to her, did we make cakes for her to worship her and pour out drink offerings to her without our husband's permission? And I'm on verse 23 now. Well, because you have burned incense and because you have sinned against Yah and have not obeyed the voice of Yahweh or walked in his law, in his statutes, or his testimonies, therefore this calamity has happened to you as it is this day. Thus says Yahweh of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, you and your wives have spoken with your own mouths and fulfilled your hands, saying, we will surely keep our vows that we have made to burn incense to the Queen of Heaven, and pour out drink offerings to her. You will surely keep your vows and perform your vows. And in verse 27, he says, behold, I will watch over them for adversity and not for good. And all the men of Judah who are in the land of Egypt will be consumed by the sword and by famine until there is an end of them. So according to these verses, there was a false goddess called the Queen of Heaven, in that she is mentioned in the book of Jeremiah. And the Jews burned incense to this false goddess, Queen of Heaven, and due to that, God destroyed those who burned incense to the false goddess, Queen of Heaven. Here is a Queen of Heaven, and it says, burn sweet incense to Mary. Well, does the Pope call Mary the Queen of Heaven? Well, this is from a Catholic source. This was issued by Pope Pius XII and states that Mary is the Queen of Heaven. And here's the source, and I listed it here too. And furthermore, in that same source, it says the Latin Church sings a sweet and ancient prayer called Hail, Holy Queen, and the lovely anthems, Hail, Queen of the Heavens, O Queen of Heaven, rejoice. So, blessed be the Virgin Mary, she should be called Queen. And here is that source for you to look up. And here is Pope Francis placing a crown on the head, a statue of Mary, and this was in Chile a few years back. Well, the Wikipedia says the Queen of Heaven is a title given to Virgin Mary by Christians, mainly of the Catholic Church. And the title's been a tradition included in prayers and devotional literature and seen in the Western art in the subject of the coronation of the Virgin from the High Middle Ages, long before it was given a formal definition status by the Church. Queen of Heaven is one of the many queen titles used for Mary, Mother of Jesus, and that's from Wikipedia. So here's another one. To imitate the virtues of Mary, Queen of Heaven, here are prayers said to her, and it reminds us of a goal of heaven and encourages us to invoke the Queen of Heaven for aid along the journey. And here's part of this prayer for her guidance and strength. O Lord Jesus Christ, who has said, in my Father's house are many mansions. I go to prepare a place for you. Grant us, we ask you, so to copy in our lives the holy virtues of our blessed Mother, Queen of Heaven. And so there's the rest of that prayer you can look up. So she is called the Queen of Heaven. And Jeremiah 7, 8-9 and 18 here says, Behold, you trust in lying words that cannot profit. Will you steal and murder, commit adultery, swear falsely, burn incense to Baal, and walk after other gods whom you do not know? The children gather wood, the fathers kindle the fire, and the women knead dough to make cakes for the Queen of Heaven. And they pour out drink offerings to other gods that they can provoke, to anger. And here is a picture of Ishtar, and I even found these Ishtar cakes on the internet, that this is still being worshipped in our day. And so who is Ishtar? Her name is also pronounced Easter, Gaia, Ashtaroth, and there's all these other names, and Queen of Heaven. Here is some more incense to the Queen of Heaven. Pope Francis swings the incense burner to bless a statue of the Virgin Mary as he leads a solemn Mass. So why does the Pope burn incense to the Queen of Heaven? That is my question for you. So Jeremiah 10, 1-5 says, Hear the word which Yah speaks to you, O house of Israel. Thus says Yahweh, do not learn the way of the Gentiles. So please like if this is a blessing to you, and share it with your friends that love Yeshua. And I always leave the links below so you can look this up for yourself. He says, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. Revelation 18:4. And remember, I'm short and sweet, and I'll be back next time, Yah willing. Thank you for being here today.